In Grimm Fairy Tales, Cinderella makes her way to Dracula's castle as she's looking for Hades, and the last time Hades was seen, he was burning Dracula's castle to the ground. Meanwhile, Hades actually arrives in the city as he has plans to confront the Dark Horde, and he arrives ready to kick some ass. Hades would be confronted by several hydras that have been commandeered from hell. But Hades uses his power seeing as these creatures are from the underworld, and thus Hades should have dominion over them. Hades turns the hydras on the Dark Horde, telling them to tear them all the fuck apart. Meanwhile, as Cinderella's walking through Dracula's castle, she reflects on her mission as the only reason she wound up in this situation is because she killed Nox, one of Hades' servants. And now the Dark Queen has tasked her to find and kill Hades, but at least it was fun killing Nox. But as Cinderella wallows in her own despair, she'd be confronted by none other than Dracula. But back in the city, as several hydras tear through the Dark Horde, Hades takes the liberty of joining in as he tears through these demons with his bare hands. But back at Dracula's castle, Dracula knows that Cinderella's come in pursuit of the fallen god. Now Cinderella's like, how the fuck are you even alive? Didn't Hades burn this place down? But Dracula tells her he burnt it down as he was done with this place, just as this place was done with him. Now back in the city, heads are flying and limbs are getting ripped off as Hades tears his way through the Dark Horde. Now they try to shoot Hades, but their bullets seem to have no effect as a head goes flying and hits Alicia in the back. Now back at Dracula's mansion, Dracula asks Cinderella why she's even rolling with the Dark Horde, but Cindy tells him that the Dark Horde is going to rule everything. But Dracula then asks her, then why does she look like someone who's on the cusp of losing everything? Cindy whips out her sword as she calls Dracula a dick, planning to do things the hard way. Now Alicia tries to call the Dark Queen back in the city, but it's too late as Hades is already on that ass, and Hades grabs Alicia and backdoors her, quite literally impaling her through the back with his hand. Now back at the mansion, Cinderella whips out her sword and cuts off Dracula's head while yelling to tell her everything he knows about Hades right fucking now. But Dracula turns into smoke and materializes right next to her and then backhands this bitch into a staircase. Now back in the city, Hades is taking his time with Alicia, mistress of Limbo, as he just impaled her with his fist. Now Alicia begs for mercy, but Hades does not show her any as he punches completely through her chest. Now back at the mansion, as Cinderella's picking herself up off the floor, she knows she can do this as she is a boss-ass bitch. Now Dracula charges Cindy, but Cinderella impales him through the chest with an ancient vampire bone. Meanwhile, as the Dark Horde is getting their ass whooped in the city, one of the Hydras manages to find the doppelganger and he tosses his ass over to Hades as the doppelganger is the one that killed Hades' loved ones. Now back at the mansion, Dracula pulls the stake out of his chest as he tells Cinderella he can't die and he asks why she just won't give up. But Cinderella tells him it's not in her blood as she whips out her sword preparing for round two. Now back in the city, although the doppelganger is faceless, Hades can see fear all over his face. Hades grabs the doppelganger and starts grinding his face into the concrete as Hades tells him he's going to grind his fucking face off. Now back at the mansion, Dracula would tell Cinderella as long as the Dark Queen lives, her Art Malik will never ascend. Dracula tells Cinderella that eventually the Dark One will take a stand against the Dark Queen, and when that time comes, he may need her by his side. Dracula would give Cinderella the information she's looking for about Hades, but he tells her when the time comes, make sure she takes a stand. Now when we catch up with Hades, the doppelganger turns into Liesel Van Helsing, his dead ex-girlfriend, and Hades stops beating his ass for just a moment. This would be enough time for Hades to get subdued by Venus, the Winter Witch, and the Tooth Fairy demon. Hades would then be confronted by the Dark Queen, who tells him if he's came all this way to kill her, then do it. Now Hades would hit the Dark Queen square in the face, but for some reason his power is seemingly ineffective. The Dark Queen would then blast Hades into the concrete, leaving Hades on the ground. But as Hades picks himself up, preparing for round two, a little voice in his head would tell him, not now, you have to go, today isn't the day, and Hades would seemingly be teleported out of there. Now, the Dark Queen is pissed as she looks at her subjects, wondering where the fuck did Hades go. Nevertheless, the Dark Queen would deem Cinderella a traitor and order her to be executed on sight, while Dracula would order Cinderella to go see Morgana. Now, upon arrival in Paradiso, as it turns out, Morgana has been expecting Cinderella as she offers her a strawberry banana smoothie. Now, Cinderella wonders how she even knows what the fuck she wants, but Morgana tells her some minds speak softly while hers screams bloody murder. Now, Morgana knows that her and Cinderella desire the same thing as they both want to see Hades dead. Morgana tells Cinderella of a ball the Dark Queen is throwing in 10 days. She tells Cinderella to convince everybody the ball will be in 3 days. At that ball, Hades will show up, and she tells Cinderella to kill him in front of the Dark Queen. Now, Cindy asks Morgana how does she know that Hades will show up, but Morgana informs her that for a chance to kill everybody, Hades will show up for sure. To be continued.